To the United stand. What a show we've got in store for you. We're going to be talking about Manchester United and Jose Mourinho's hints that there may not actually be any more signings coming into United. I'm sure that's going to please people, but I have a couple of theories about that. And also, look, it would be remiss of me. I've just finished on That's Football. Belgium have just won a game that we will remember. I love this World Cup. I feel so sorry for Japan, but I love this World Cup because we will remember that game. Those moments, that a last second winner, absolutely amazing. And of course, people are going to be like, oh, I like Fellaini now, even though you didn't like him on Friday. I'm still constant. If Fellaini stays at the club, we won't win. Well, he is staying at the club. If we use Fellaini a lot, we won't win the league. And what I would say about Belgium is, what a performance. I want Lukaku to win the Golden Boot. I don't want him to win the World Cup. I'd love a Belgium-England final and England win it because I'm English. But when I look at football, I think that Belgian performance really, a lot people will pick different bits that epitomise football to them. I think Belgium's first goal from Vertonghen was very lucky. I think the Fellaini goal was using height over a team that's not particularly big. A plan B, and Eden Hazard's cross is brilliant. The way he waits for it and then puts it up on the back post for Fellaini or Lukaku to make it 2-2. But I absolutely was in love with the third goal, and there is a United connection. I think Japan, they put the cross in. They think it's the last minute of before extra time. We may as well go for it. Courtois' brilliant catch and rolls De Bruyne away. De Bruyne just arrows forward, feeds it into the right. The cross comes in, and the dummy by Lukaku. He's obviously had the shout, but as a number 9 who's thinking I can win this game in the last minute, there isn't many number 9s. If you speak to Gary Lineker or someone like that, there's not many number 9s who would dummy that so unselfishly, and it leaves a tap in for Chadli. So I prefer to focus on that. And I think a lot of people will say, Fellaini changed the game. Well, no, he didn't. He got them back to 2-2. Fellaini on that breakaway is still in his own penalty box. He can't run that fast. The brilliance of that was De Bruyne, the keeper, the cross, the finish from Chadli. But ultimately, no Lukaku, no goal. The unselfishness and class to dummy that from a number 9 was absolutely sensational, and that's what I like in football. That's what I grew up with at United. The fast breaking, whether it's the days of Giggs, whether it was your Andy Coles, whether it's your Ronaldos, whether it's your Rooneys, that ability to just go from one end to the other, absolutely brilliant. I remember us doing it against Arsenal in the Champions League with Ronaldo and Rooney. That's sensational. That's what people want to see at Manchester United, and the plan B is great, but yeah, that's what we want to see. Oh, you're here, are you? Well, you're not anymore. Bye-bye. Anyway, some little troll from That's Football. They're gone now. Let's talk off about what we were going to talk about. Anyway, I've been really looking forward to this tonight. The World Cup always trumps up the targets. But let's talk about Jose Mourinho and Manchester United and how there may not be any more Manchester United signings. Now, it's very easy in the transfer window to just get pulled in by Demarcio's latest tweet or BBC or the newspapers or whatever, and you go, oh, that's the latest story, let's discuss. But we are a fan channel. Your opinions, my opinions, this is what it's all about. And tonight I really wanted to look at something that is out there for us all to go and get, that isn't going to be in a paper. It's totally exclusive to us, our community tonight. And the story is that Manchester United, why are we all thinking we're going to make loads of signings when the evidence is out there that we may well not? Now, I've got 3 quotes here. Back in January, Jose Mourinho said, if I want a defender, a midfielder and an attacker, and I get one of them in January, that means 3 minus 1 in the summer. So he got an attacker, that was Alexis Sanchez. So that means 2 signings in the summer, which means we've made 1, which is Fred, and we've signed another one in Dalot. Does that mean Dalot, because he's young, we're still going to get another defender? But that, to me, if you read what he said in January, means we've either done our business or we're going to get a defender, because we've already got the attacker, Sanchez, in January, and Fred, the midfielder, in the summer already. So a defender might be our business done. That was from Jose in January. Then in February he says, when I don't want to say things, I don't say it, but I don't take you in other directions. So I told you we don't want to sign any strikers or wingers, and yes, we are looking for a midfield player. That was in February from Jose Mourinho. I'm not signing attackers, I'm not signing wingers, and I am looking for a midfield player. Fred's already been bought. There we go. And then in April, he said, we are going to invest the basic to improve our squad, but more than spend, we believe in evolution. Fellaini, if he leaves, will need replacing, and Carrick, if he leaves, will need replacing. Well, Carrick's been replaced by Fred. Fellaini didn't leave. We are going to invest the basic to improve our squad. We believe in evolution more. That is from Jose Mourinho's mouth in April. This is damning evidence about what we're going to do in this transfer window. And can we be angry about it? Because the reality is Mourinho's been very consistent. In January, I'll sign a defender, a midfielder, an attacker. He signed a midfielder last month. He signed the attacker in January. That leaves a defender. Is that Dalot or maybe another one? In February, he said, I'm not going to send you in different directions. I'm not after an attacker or a winger. I'm after a midfield player. And he's bought that, Fred. And then again in April, we're not going to spend big. We're going to spend the basic to improve our squad. I'll need a replacement for Carrick and a replacement for Fellaini if he goes. He's got the replacement for Carrick. That's Fred. So maybe we're not going to do any more business. Maybe, it's all right moaning about it, but Mourinho has evidenced that 3 times in 4 months that we're not going to do a lot of business, that he's only looking to replace a couple of players. And he's effectively done that. Fred replaces Carrick. Fellaini has stayed. Sanchez was the attacker. We may still go and get a defender. But if you take Jose for his word, and why wouldn't we ain't going to do loads of business. We're all on about, we need a left-back, we need a centre-back, a right midfielder would be nice, another midfielder. We're getting to 3 or 4 players. He's basically saying, you'd be lucky to get one more. And that is categorically there. And the most important thing is, I myself have said, he wouldn't have signed a new contract in January if he didn't know he was going to get a load of money. But these comments are after that. These are comments are after. The one in April especially, we're going to invest the basic to improve the squad. That was in April, 3 months after he signed the new contract. So he must be happy with the squad he's got. He must see that this squad is good enough. Or he must be happy that he's not going to get the money that he needs. Now, I still hope in my heart of hearts that we are going to sign at least 2 more players. But I want to just act responsibly with this fan community that we've got and say, what I believe is that we will go and sign at least 2 more players. But when you look at what the manager said, we should not be surprised if we only sign 1 more or no more. Tony Grant's going to come in. I don't count him as a signing anyway. He's a reserve goalkeeper. But what do you think? What do you think about that? Durrani, Martial will go, in my opinion, says Matthew McFadden. Now, that's the interesting thing, because he did say that, Matthew, as well. He said, you might always get 1 or 2 players. Let me just take Paul Robinson's comment first, because it's a good one. He says, good bit of research there. Scary, but you may well be right. If so, where do we finish? Liverpool outspending us at Bants. You know what? Where we are is for us to determine when the season starts. But what our manager has said, it's there. He said it. Those are his words. So are we wrong to be critical when he's already warned us that there's going to be basic investment? What Matthew said is spot on. And Mourinho did adhere to this. I haven't got the direct quotes, but he did say this amongst one of those. He did say, what you might also get is players who, for whatever reason, might want to leave. And if they leave, they would need to be replaced. So if Martial leaves, he would be replaced, maybe with a Willian. If Herrera leaves, then maybe we'd replace Herrera. Although Herrera's comments tonight in relation to backing up De Gea would make you believe that he's going to stay. I'm not convinced that Darmian and Blind leaving Manchester United would mean that we're going to replace those players, because who's Dalot replacing? Nobody. He's just coming in. Who does Fosu Mensah coming back replace? He may well go on loan, but. There's a very relevant point there from Paul, which I'll come back to in a minute. I just want to take Devil's Ace. It's a shame, but you're off. Bye. Sack Woodward if we don't get any world-class players, says King Zed. I think we have the quality, but we need to implement better strategy, says Tanasha Mpasa. And Alex Manning, Woodward and the board may still want the statement signing, says, well, you know what? My hope there is, and I was going to say that, my hope is that we may well have had basic investment. That may well have been the plan. But my hope is that because a Ronaldo or a Bale might be available, and they would not have known that in April, February or January, whenever he made those quotes, does that mean that United suddenly go, look, we've got money? If something like that becomes available, we can't refuse going in for that, Jose. So if Bale's available, we will get him for you. Do you want him? Of course, yes. Okay, so that could still happen, and that's what I would hope that would happen as well. But we've had that that warning, haven't we? We shouldn't be letting players like Martial go so we can bring someone in to Sally Devil Red 7. If Martial decides he wants to go, then he will. How can we back a manager who doesn't back the fans but wants to prove the fans wrong, which doesn't reunite anyone, says SB? Well, these things will sort themselves out in next season, SB, won't they? At the moment, we're on about, whether we're going to do any business in the next few weeks. Because if we don't sign at least 2 more... Look, Jamie, I've removed you from the live comments because you clearly don't want to be here anyway, but this topic that I'm discussing tonight has never been discussed by anybody before. I haven't seen any article be bothered. All you ever see from the websites and everything is United are going to sign 2 players. United want this. United want that. If you can be asked to go and do what I've done in the last this evening, you can go and get our manager's quotes about this transfer window that he's spoken about 3 times. Now, I know a lot of people don't like this news because it doesn't fit in with what they want to happen, but and maybe I've been guilty of ignoring it as well or not bothering to do the research. But they're his quotes: basic investment, and he said that in April. So you might not like it, and you might think, I don't like this, so I'm going to be critical. But it's probably not the community for you if that's what you want. But that's factual. That's not off the back of the Sun. That's not speculation. He has said those words, and we may not sign anybody else. Or he may totally ignore that and think, I've got 200 million here, I'm going to go and sign 4 or 5 players. We don't know. All I'm doing is just throwing up the other side of the coin, because I get a lot of people messaging me saying, we've only got 2 weeks till the tour. We've only got 4 or 5 weeks till the start of the new season. We're not linked to anybody. What's going on? When are we going to sign somebody? And I'm spurting out positivity because I still think we will make some signings, but if we don't, should we be surprised? Mark would rather go for Ronaldo if available, or a left back, says Pankaj. I think you've got to go for a left back, haven't you? My opinion is you've got to go for a left back, because I don't think we can win a title with Ashley Young. Hazard is United bound, says Daniel. His brother? Jose will try to only offload this summer, says Robin Paul. Mourinho also said that managers do not last long in the modern game. He won't this season, says Castro. Basic spending, our team should have world-class players right through the team. Shocking, says Philip Kreber. And Jose wanted Perisic, but he didn't get him, so a winger was needed, says Amit Joseph. But is he looking for a winger now? Or is Sanchez that sort of player that he wanted? Get rid of the deadwood in the club and give some younger players out on loan. Come in and give them a try. And thanks for the contribution, Darth. Sorry, thanks for the nice comment, Darth Vader. And I haven't seen anybody discuss these comments before, and I wanted to bring it into the community because I know most of you have the intelligence to handle the fact that we might not do any more business. My opinion is that we will, but to give that even-handed side, I'm just throwing you what Mourinho has said over the last few months: basic investment, and that to me, I mean. Going back to what somebody said before, and I want to move on from this now, is if we did only sign, well, if we don't sign anybody, I suppose, but if we only did sign 1 more player and it was the defender, so if it was, I don't know, a left back, if it was, and just very, very quickly, I'm going to develop this more on Transfer Daily because I do need to do a little bit of research on it for tomorrow morning, but Asamoah from from Juventus, who was playing more of the left back for Juventus, or the left wing back for Juventus last season, and Sandro wasn't playing. He's just signed for Inter Milan. So what does that mean? Are Juventus going to go and buy a left back, or are they now going to get Sandro on a new contract? And if Sandro goes on a new contract, he's not coming to Manchester United. So who are we going for then? But let's say we did get Alexandro and that was our business done. What? So we've got Fred, we've got Sandro. That's our business done. The 2 signings that Jose said he'd make in January, because he'd already got Sanchez, which would have been 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. His words. So we get Fred and Sandro, the lots for the future, and the keeper's just a backup. Fred and Sandro added to our team. Where does that put us in the league? Because my personal thoughts, does that make us league winners? It can do if Manchester City drop off massively. It can do if Liverpool's signings don't massively improve them. It can do if Chelsea don't do any business. It can do if Spurs still bottle a month. But effectively, I think Fred and Sandro, if that's our business, or Fred and a left back, we are fighting for second place, maybe even third place, in my view. What do you think? I felt that if we wanted to seriously win the title this season, we did need to make 4 or 5 quality signings, which would have been left back, 2 midfielders, and an attacker, and potentially a centre back if you wanted to be greedy, but certainly 4, and they needed to be top quality. And I think Fred is top quality. The left back would need to be top quality. The attacker would need to be top quality. And the centre-back would be as well. If we're only going to get the left-back and 1 midfielder, that for me is not going to bridge that gap. Prince Awiki says, I want you, Mark, to support Jose and Fellaini. Well, I will, mate. I will. I do support Mourinho. I'm Mourinho in. I'm not happy that Fellaini stayed, but on That's Football tonight, we were doing the watch-along and Fellaini came on and scored, and I was doing it with Xander, and he was depressed. And I said, mate, what is there to be depressed about? He's already signed the contract. He's already staying for 2 years. Him performing badly for Belgium or performing well for Belgium, it's irrelevant. He's a Manchester United player for the next 2 years. So it makes no difference to me whether Fellaini scores for Belgium or not. He's part of the United squad. We will see a lot of him next season. I wasn't happy about it. I'm probably not happy about it, but I'm over it. I deal with it. So I want Manchester United to win games. I want Manchester United to win the league. That's my sentence. I don't ever want Manchester United to not do well, to get rid of another manager. That's not what I'm going to do. So I do support Manchester United. Fellaini Liverpool could finish above us, says Amalil family. Blin's going to Ajax apparently, says Jason Price. That needs to happen. We need to get rid of him sooner rather than later. And Darmian. Andrew Ellis says Fred doesn't excite me at all, or Dalot. Well, Dalot does excite me, but I was thinking about him today, Andrew, and I did think, you know what, he does excite me, but I know next to nothing about him, and I know a lot about Fosu Mensah, and I know a lot about Twan Sebi, and they excite me, and we already had them. So Dalot or wherever his name is, he does excite me, but I know nothing about him. And he's got a great pedigree and a lot of big clubs are interested in him. But I did think today, did we need to spend that 20 million on him? Should we not have been using Fosu Mensah there? You know, I did think that, but we'll fight. It's impossible to judge that at the moment. Inter Milan have signed good players, says Active Dan. Look, the Serie A's on the up. I watch a lot of Serie A, and they're making a lot of big signings. I mean, Juventus are being linked to Ronaldo now. And Juventus, Inter Milan, they're all making. It's a very good league, and they're making some good signings. Michael Duffy says, please assure me that De Gea isn't leaving. Why buy Lee Grant? I did the video earlier, Michael. De Gea's not leaving. Never in a million years. And the Grant guy is quite simply coming in to be a reserve goalkeeper so that Pereira can go and get some experience. So I think I've got no problem with it. It's a bit of a signing. It means nothing. But what it does do for Manchester United on the training ground, it means that they've got 3 goalkeepers, which means when you're training, you've got 3 decent goalkeepers. Because if you've got good goalkeepers for training purposes, when your strikers and your midfielders are shooting, they're being challenged to score goals. So he'll come in and he'll do a decent job in training, and he might get the odd Carabao Cup game. Waka Kayani says, I want Neymar. What a question. I really wanted to ask this towards the end of the show because you're the loyal United standers. You're the ones who are watching the show live or not live, and you're watching it till the end. So I've saved a personal favourite topic here. Would you take Neymar at Manchester United? I'm just going to leave that to settle in for a minute. I'm going to take some other questions, but Joshua says that Cristiano Ronaldo has rejected his latest contract. I mentioned that this morning on Football Daily. We'll wait and see. And Carbon 1 says, unrelated, but look at what Neymar said about Mexico. Disrespectful. I don't know what he said, Carbon 1. I did watch that game today with Neymar. The touch on his ankle and the way he reacted was a disgrace. Yes, his ankle was touched, but there was no pressure there. There was so much pressure, he didn't even know the foot was there. When he saw it, he reacted. It was a disgrace. When the final whistle went, Neymar went walking towards the Brazil bench and hugged and shook their hands, didn't go to the Mexican players. He's petulant. He is everything that's wrong with football, and he's a fantastic player. Would you take him at Manchester United? Pankaj says, I don't want the cheat. Lamaya Syed says 110% all day, every day. Darth Vader says, yeah. Chris Walker says, no. Daniel Taylor says, yes, he's brilliant. Abba Sai says, no. Snap says, yeah. Kendall says no. Marcus says no. Ankor says no. Sagor says no. JG Fitness says, can we afford him? That's by the by. If I can deliver Neymar to you now for 150 million, would you take him? Duncan Hamilton says no, thank you. Fortune says yes. I'd say, Willies says, like him or not, he's class. I'd say the vast majority, well, not the vast, I'd say we've got a 60-40 split. 40% say yes, 60% say no, they wouldn't take Neymar. You know what? I wouldn't want him anywhere near my club. I know he's a fantastic player, but he's a bloody embarrassment. He's all about himself, and he's got no gamesmanship at all. I wouldn't want him at Manchester United. I think some things are more important, but I think some people would take Suarez at the club, and I would, if Manchester United ever signed Suarez, I don't think I could watch them. I think I'd just fall out of love with football. It would be horrible. So Neymar's nowhere near Suarez, nowhere near, but I wouldn't want him at Manchester United. I think he's just, I don't like him. I don't like him as a player. I think he's a fantastic footballer, but the way he behaves is shocking. And so I wouldn't take him, but some people would, some people wouldn't, and that's the beauty of this channel, and that's the beauty of football, because you're going to get different opinions. So if you wanted him, great, that's your opinion. If you didn't, great, that's your opinion. We have Fellaini, we don't need anyone, says I Am Diva. Well, we have got Fellaini, and you'll see plenty of him next season. I think he'll be... Just on that, though, can I just say, anybody who's banned... I know a lot of people are having a joke now, because I know 99% of Manchester United fans on Friday were absolutely gutted when he signed the new contract. And if tonight you're like, oh, I like him now, you are a little bit of a flip-flop flower, aren't you? I mean, to be honest, you are. Because so many people didn't want him on Friday. He comes on and scores a header, and you're now like he's great, which is a bit flip-floppy. So you probably need to have a little bit of a word with yourself, because you should probably support Arsenal if you're going to flip-flop so much. I say that jest. I'm only joking. But no, in seriousness, when he came on today, how many times have we said this collectively? He comes on the pitch today and he spends most of his time hanging around the box of Belgium, because that's where he causes the most damage. When you see him in a United shirt, and it's not just Mourinho, Moyes did it, Van Gaal did it, they play him in the centre circle. They very rarely use him in the opposition's box. They play him as a centre defensive midfielder. That is the problem with Fellaini. I mean, personally, I wouldn't have him at the club anyway, but we don't even use him right. When he was at Everton, he'd get goals and assists all the time, because he'd play off the striker, number 10. Tonight, they were pumping him up into the box as much as they could. In a United shirt, we put him in the centre midfield. That's the problem with Fellaini. He showed today that he's a plan B. He showed that's what it is. He doesn't even get picked for Belgium. They were 2-0 down going out of the World Cup, and Martinez just went long ball and it was effective. He was an effective plan B, and that's what he should be used for. Now he's staying at United. I'll never change my opinion. He shouldn't be here. He's not the sort of player I want. But if he is going to be here, which he is, that's how he should be used. When it's the last 10-15 minutes of a game, you can't get it right, and you just change it and you throw him on. But we don't. We start him in games as a centre midfielder. That's the baffling point. Would I take Mbappe at Manchester United for Martial plus 90 million, Raja? It's never going to happen. Mbappe will never come to Manchester United and play under Mourinho. And I think he probably would have been told not to do that by certain players. I'm not going to name. But in a hypothetical, I would, if Martial wanted to go in a hypothetical, of course I'd do 90 million plus Martial for Mbappe. If Martial wants to stay, I don't want that to happen. Tanzul says, we need new centre-backs. Matic keeps having to babysit Jones and Smalling when he should be bossing the midfield. Good point. Good point. I'd like to see Lindelof and Bailly given a chance, to be honest. And are United not going to sign anyone, says Tamid? Well, I can't go through that again because I know I was boring people, but there's 3 direct quotes from Mourinho in the last 4 months that would suggest that we might not be doing much more business this summer. My personal belief is that we will sign 2 more players, and I have to keep believing that because it's keeping me positive. But if you want to go back and listen to what I said in relation to what Mourinho has said over the last few months, the evidence is there that if we don't sign many more players, he did warn us. So, but I believe we're going to do something. I do, but I'm just giving it the other side. Bayern tapping up Martial, says Gabriel Medina. I don't believe that. I don't believe Bayern Munich have tapped up Martial at all. I think it's paper talk because they've got Serge Gnabry going there. Haven't they got Coman there? They've still got Ribéry and Robben. I don't think that they will be in for Martial. In fact, German reports said that they're not. So I don't believe that. I don't think Rashford's going on loan. Again, I've not heard anything about that. Tyrone Williams says that Alex Grimaldi is a left-back that Manchester United are looking at. He's a Benfica player. I don't want to sign too many people from the Portuguese league, Tyrone. I really don't. I don't rate the Portuguese league at all. And I don't want to sign many players from there. Neymar should bring his sellotape because he would be ripped apart in England, says Joanna Ryan. I tell you what, I think you're right, Joanna. I don't think Neymar would cope in the Premier League because our referees don't take kindly to people who dive. And once you've got that reputation, you're in a lot of trouble. But you never know with Ed Woodward. If he was available, I think Woodward would do it. Manchester Skulls 18 says in relation to Neymar, his behaviour's being blown up a little bit. He's arguably the third best player in the world and we don't have match winners. Fair point. It's yours. Paul Robinson says, please enlighten me on our current plan A with Mourinho. We still don't know our starting 11. Also, we don't have a particular style. Plan B is more of an incoming plan A. Yeah, you're right. And that's, I remember Sophie saying that. I remember a lot of you saying that. The thing is, we don't know what our starting 11 is under Jose after 2 years. We don't know what our plan A is after 2 years. We don't know what our centre-backs are. We pretty much know our left-back, our right-back, our goalkeeper, our CDM, our number 9, and our left winger. That's pretty much what we know at the moment, isn't it? We don't know a lot more. We don't know what our style of play is. But whatever our style of play is, I only ever want to see Fellaini as a last 15-minute plan B in the box. I don't want to see him in the midfield next season, but I suspect we will. As I said the other day, I think our starting midfield next for the first game of the season will be Matic, Pogba and Fellaini, because I don't think Fred will be anywhere near ready, because I think Brazil are going to go far into this tournament and then he's going to have his holiday and then it will be starting the season, so he won't be ready. If you want Fred in this team, we need Brazil out. And I want Brazil out anyway, so I hope Belgium beat them on Friday night, because if you want Fred part of this United team, we need Brazil out of that cup, because he ain't going to get used, is he? He's not going to get used. They didn't use him in the group stage. They're not going to use him in the knockout stage. He's not even the reserve midfielder. He's the reserve of the reserve. Paulinho is where he should be coming on, but every time Paulinho gets substituted, it's not Fred. So Fred's just basically wasting his time. I mean, he won't see it as wasting his time. He'll be having the time of his life. But from a Manchester United perspective, we need him out of that World Cup and back in Manchester so that he's ready for August the 11th, because that's where our priority is. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. Please do drop a like on the video, even if it's just for the research I did. I know some people find it a little bit boring, but I do try to give you that other side, because the papers will keep telling us we're doing this, we're doing that. And I can tell you I think we're going to sign 2 players, but I don't know. But I think sometimes it's really important that when the quotes are there from our manager, 3 of them in the last 4 months, about us not doing a lot of business this summer, we probably should be aware of that at least, so that we're not melting down all the time, that we're not going mad. Because if we don't sign anybody else, he did warn us. If we only sign 1 player, he did warn us. If we sign more, great. He's changed his mind, he's got more money, brilliant, we're all winners. But it is out there. Anyway, I'm back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. with Transfer Daily. I'll be talking about the left-back situation, some developments there. Thanks everyone. Please do drop a like on the video. Really, really enjoying these shows. And tomorrow night I'm doing the World Cup watch-along on That's Football for England. So I will be live here, potentially. But if it's penalties and that, I will be depressed. I don't know whether I'll be able to do a show. But I will be on at 7 tomorrow. And Flex and Rants are on tomorrow at 1 o'clock. They've done their video, so keep your eye out for that. You're fantastic. Really enjoying these shows. And I'm loving the momentum that we're starting to get going as well as the new season approaches. So thanks everyone for all your comments. I'll speak to you all soon.